Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1 for the News First, the voice of the people. I'm Martin Sathyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Heavy rains claim the lives of 20 people, 60,000 impacted. Rain exceeding 150 millimeters expected today as well. Fishermen are requested to refrain from setting out to sea until further notice. Search operation continues to locate 2 missing people in a landslide in Galigamua. 2 people, including the deputy chairman of the Mavanella Pradesh Sabha, arrested for interrupting teachers' protests in Mavanella. National Plant Quarantine Service receives letter of demand from Chindao. NPQS maintains its position.
Many areas are experiencing heavy rainfall over the past few days in the country. We now cross over to News First, Naveksha Erandi Gunasekara, to know about the latest update. Naveksha?
Yes, Martin. Now, the Department of Meteorology says that very heavy showers of about 150 millimeters could be expected in the western, northern, north central and northwestern provinces of the country. The Disaster Management Center also said today the death toll as of today has risen to 20 due to the extreme weather that was prevailing in the country. The DMC further stated that 62,247 people from 17 districts were affected due to the heavy rains, the floods and the landslides that we saw throughout yesterday and the days before as well. This current situation has left 18 houses completely destroyed and 960 houses damaged across the island of Sri Lanka. Now, 2 landslides were also reported from Kurunegala and Galigamua this morning. News First brought you all this information through our 55 bulletins. The Director of Irrigation Department, CPC Sugishwara, also said that flood warnings issued to the low-lying areas of the Malwatu Oya continues to remain in effect. The Department of Irrigation also says that there is a possibility of floods in the low-lying areas of the Malwatu Oya basin. We also have several other weather incidents reported from across the country today, starting off with several villages in Bulat Sinhala were inundated due to the overflowing of the Kukule Ganga, and a team of army soldiers were however deployed to rescue these affected people. Meanwhile, due to the heavy rains that we are experiencing currently and within the past 24 hours, low-lying areas in the Athanagala area are still underwater. However, our correspondent noted that the water levels are currently gradually receding. Moving on to the Chilau area, the situation at the Chilau Base Hospital, which was inundated due to heavy rain, still remains the same, according to our correspondents. As a result, patients receiving treatment at the hospital, several wards rather, in the hospital have been moved to safer locations. Also, main roads along the Chilau-Kandy road are inundated due to the situations, especially due to the rains that were experienced within the past 3 days. Taking a look at the Putlam district, several areas in the Putlam district are inundated due to heavy rains. If I name a few, Maravala, Saurana and Thambala, those areas specifically are inundated due to the heavy rains that we experienced within the past 24 hours. Moving on to some more news from Chilau. Close to 200 families in Veerabamma area in Chilau are impacted due to the flood situation that's ongoing in the country. Our correspondent, however, noted that the people affected due to the floods are being moved to temporary shelters in several areas of the Chilau area. Meanwhile, the vehicular movement today this morning along the Putlama and Anuradhapura road was disrupted due to a few trees, due to some fallen trees. However, with the assistance of the police special task force, the tree was removed as well.
Stop talking. Wait.
Moving on, day-to-day activities of people are impacted due to this periodic rainfall that we experienced in the western slope of the Central Hills as well. The reservoir engineers say that the water level of Castle Ray and Mausakale Reservoir is nearing the spill level as well. The water levels in the Kalani River has increased after the opening of 3 sluice gates of the Canyon and Lakshapana Reservoir, and also the continuous release of water from the Vimala Surendra Reservoir as well. The vehicular movement in several areas along the Hatton Nuarelia and Hatton Bogawan Talava main roads is limited only to 1 lane due to the fallen earth embankments, while due to the misty conditions, vehicular movements were slowed down in the Hatton Nuarelia, Hatton Colombo main roads as well. If you take a look at another situation where 2 emergency sluice gates of the Athagamu Reservoir has been at 5 feet due to the increase in water levels. Due to heavy rains experienced, 10 sluice gates of the Rajangani Reservoir was opened. But however, due to the reduction of the rainfall within the 24 hours in that particular area, 8 of the 10 sluice gates were closed as well. 2 sluice gates are currently opened at 1 foot, with water being released at 1,200 cubic feet per second. Moving on, people living in several low-lying areas of the banks of Mahaoya are being displaced due to the increased water levels of Mahaoya. But it was also reported that 2 houses of the Ihala Aragoda in Polgahavela were also damaged due to a landslide that was reported. Residents of Girula are in the process of cleaning their houses after the decrease in flood levels as well. Now, 27 houses in the Galakotua and Malavalana are inundated due to heavy rains as well. The displaced people are currently sheltered in the Villagadara Community Centre. But what we have to understand is that while we face this extreme weather as a country, steps are being taken to help the people as well. If there are any damages being caused or whatsoever there are, the authorities are ready to lend a helping hand to those people. Now, the fruit stalls situated in the Kaduganav area are also facing a threat of collapsing due to the landslides. Professor Atula Senaratna said the road is also facing a threat of a landslide at the current moment. He, however, recommended that swift solutions will be taken. Now, with all of this happening in the country, as always, Gammada is there for the people at each and every situation. The Gammada Sahanayatra team to provide relief for the people who are in distress due to the prevailing weather conditions was on their way to Putlam this morning, and now we're joining Mariam Gunavijaya from Putlam. Mariam, what's the situation there?
Our Newsfirst team is currently in the Putlam district. We are in Kalladi and heading towards our first stop to provide relief packs to those who have been affected by the inclement weather in the country. Now, although we left our Newsfirst this morning, unfortunately we have not been able to reach the planned destination on time due to heavy rains that we experienced during our journey. Now, however, we see that the showery conditions have reduced and the sun has also shown up, so we will be able to reach the planned location as soon as possible. And when we reach there, we will be able to provide and distribute the relief packs that we have to those who have been affected by the inclement weather in the Putlam district. So stay tuned to Newsfirst as we bring you the latest on our journey. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Mariam Gunavijaya reporting to you from the Putlam district.
Thank you for that update, Mariam. The Gammada team, the Newsfirst team, is currently in Putlam providing these, or rather distributing the relief packs that were dispatched from our headquarters here in Colombo this morning. Our team is working very hard to lend a helping hand to the people of this country. As always, Gammada is for the people, by the people, with the people. Now, moving on to another situation this morning, landslides were reported in Kegol and Ridigama. Let's have a look at what the situation was like.
A mound of earth fell on a house in Kurasa in Maduragoda, Kurunagala at 10 p.m. yesterday, claiming the lives of 2 individuals. The victims were aged 60 and 56 years.
They pile up soil for some construction activity. Because of this, the water tends to collect on top of the mountain. This water then flows down when there is rain. They were living happily here in this house. We heard a sound, and with a blink of an eye, the earth sloped down. No authority came and checked the situation here before. There's another pile of soil in another mountain close by. There's a crack on top of that mountain, and there's a line of house just below that.
The district secretary has advised us to do the needful in this emergency situation caused by the disaster. We are going to pay a compensation of 200,000 rupees for a deceased. In addition to this, we will provide 25,000 for the funeral arrangements. Also, together with the National Building Research Organization, we will inspect the possible threats around this area and take the necessary measures to remove the residents if there is any threat to their lives. Earlier, the National Building Research Organization issued a landslide warning to Ridhigama, but they did not specify on this particular area.
That was a tragic incident reported from Ridhigama at about 10 p.m. yesterday. Now let's have a look at what happened in Kegol. A mound of earth had collapsed on a house in Pusalawa, Galigamua, taking away 2 more lives. The mother of the family, aged 65, survived and is currently receiving treatment at the Kegol Base Hospital. The 72-year-old father and the 33-year-old son are believed to be trapped under the debris. That was the situation in Kegol last night. However, there are certain tragic incidents that we have to face as a country, but we'll all move ahead together, I suppose. Now let's take a look at the landslide warnings that were issued today this morning. The National Building Research Organization says that landslide warnings issued to many divisional secretariats is still in effect. If I name a few, level 3 landslide warnings were issued to the Kende district, that is including Harispattuwa, Doluwa, Udunuwara, Yatinuwara, Pasbage Korale and Lanka Ihala Korale. Moving on to the Kegol districts, there is Yatiantota, Ruanwella, Rambukkana, Aranayaka, Kegol, Mavanella, Varakapola, Dehiovita, Galigamua and Daraniyagala. If you take a look at the Kurunagala districts, you have Alawa, Mavatagama, Polgahavala, Ridhigama and Naramala. Those were the level 3 landslide warnings that were issued. Moving on to the level 2 landslide warnings, you have the Badura district, that is Passara, Ella, and we move on to the Colombo district, including Sitavaka and Paduka. Then we have Galle districts, Elpitia and Badegama, and then we move on to the Kalutara district, that's Agalavatta, Matugama, Bulat Singhala, Dodangoda and Palindanuwara. The Kandy district is also included in the level 2 landslide warnings, that is Pahatadumbara, Minipe, Madadumbara, Ududumbara, Delgoda, Akurana, Panvila and Kundasale. If you take a look at the Matale district, there is Rattota and Ukuvela. Moving on to the Ratnapura district, there is Ahaliagoda, Ayagama, Ratnapura and Kalavana. Level 1 landslide warnings were also issued to the Galle district, Gampaha district, Kalutara district, Matale district and Nuwara and the Ratnapura districts as well. Taking a look at some news coming to you from Bandaravilla, a high voltage cable system posed a threat to issues in front of a temple in Bandaravilla after an electricity pole had slanted. Area residents point out that with the prevailing showery conditions, the cable system may pose danger to their day-to-day lives.
A high-voltage cable system posed a threat to houses in front of a temple in Perahettiya, Bandaravilla after an electricity pole slanted. Area residents point out that with the prevailing showery conditions, the cable system pose a danger to their day-to-day lives. We have informed the authorities several times. I parked my lorry several times here today. The public gather here always. We are unable to set up a tent since the cable has lowered. Sometimes people stand there. When we inform the Ceylon Electricity Board, they say that their superiors must be informed.
And that's it for now from the News First Weather Centre here in Colombo. You can always log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk for more, and also subscribe to our social media platforms and SMS alerts as we keep you updated about what happens across the country. Back to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Naveksha, for the comprehensive update. Moving on with more local news, the Deputy Chairman of the Mavanala Pradeshya Sabha, KG Piyatis, has been arrested over an incident of forcefully entering a school and disrupting the activities during a teacher, principal and parents protest. The protest was staged on the 3rd at the Mederigama Mahavidyalaya in Mavanala. The teachers' principals continue to demand the arrest of this politician for breaking into protest and threatening the crowd. The National Plant Quarantine Service has received the letter of demand sent by the Chinese organic fertilizer manufacturer Shindawu Sivin Biotech Group Company Limited, demanding for $8 million whilst challenging the reports issued with regard to the Chinese fertilizer shipment. Additional Director at the National Plant Quarantine Service, Dr. W.A.R.T. Vikramarachi, speaking to News First, emphasized that the reports issued from the NPQS are accurate. He held the position that the reports issued by his organization were accurate and in line with international standards.
We carried out these tests based on international standards and according to the rules, regulations and the procedures in the country. As before, we are of the stance that the reports issued by our organization are accurate and in line with international standards. The National Plant Quarantine Service is an institution that operates as per an act, and our main responsibility is to ensure that any harmful pathogenic entities do not enter the country. When carrying out this duty, we only check and test the samples that are directed to our institute, irrespective of the importers, the companies and the country of origin. What is important to us is to avoid the importation of harmful components. Accordingly, we tested the samples that were sent to us and directed the report through the Director General of the Ministry of Agriculture to the relevant official of the National Fertilizer Secretariat. The fact that the relevant importer is dissatisfied about the rejection is beyond our concern. We have sent the accurate and true details with regard to the samples we tested. We are carrying out our duty with the aim of ensuring the safety of Sri Lanka's biodiversity and environment.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of these stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, the voice of the people, I am Martin Sathyanesan. You take care.